Here are the top stories for today, January 6, 2020. President Duterte orders the military to prepare for the evacuation of OFWs in the Middle East. A bishop hails the declaration of martial law for serving its purpose to preserve peace and order in Mindanao. Suspected members of the New People's Army kill a tribal leader opposing recruitment activities in Bukidnon. And Kawa-Kawa Hill in Albay hosts the celebration of the Feast of the Three Kings. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The military has responded to President Rodrigo Duterte's call for preparations for the possible evacuation of overseas Filipino workers in the Middle East. This as tensions in the region escalated following the killing of a top official from Iran reportedly ordered by the United States. Janice Cave has the story.
President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the armed forces of the Philippines to prepare for the evacuation of overseas Filipino workers in the Middle East should hostilities erupt in the region in the wake of rising tension between the United States and Iran. Department of National Defense spokesperson Arsenio Andulong said the president has tasked the AFP to prepare its air and naval assets to evacuate and bring home the OFWs. The order came after the chief executive called for an emergency meeting with DND Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, newly appointed AFP Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Filimon Santos Jr., commanders of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, Philippine National Police Chief, and their principal staffs on Sunday afternoon. The meeting was conducted to ensure the safety of Filipinos working in the Middle East, especially those deployed in Iran and Iraq, whose well-being could be endangered in the event of open hostilities. Andolong noted that there are 1,000 and 6,000 Filipinos in Iran and Iraq respectively. Tensions escalated in the Middle East after top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani was killed in a drone strike in Baghdad, Iraq on January 3, which was reportedly ordered by U.S. President Donald Trump. Tehran vowed a fierce retaliation against those responsible for the death of Soleimani. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
President Duterte is withholding further comments on the brewing tension between the United States, Iran, and Iraq. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo reiterates that the chief executive is focusing on the safety of OFWs that may be caught in the said conflict. He said Filipinos in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and other Middle Eastern countries are likely to be affected, and bringing them home will be the government's priority. Earlier, the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines urged the government to form an evacuation plan for OFWs. TUCP President and Party List Representative Raymond Mendoza asked the President to convene government agencies that would draft a plan for Filipinos in case the situation worsens. Mendoza, who also chairs the House Committee on Overseas Foreign Workers, said the advance plan will also bring in advance notice to OFWs and allay anxiety among them and their families back at home. Iran on Sunday announced the fifth and final step to end its commitments to the landmark 2015 nuclear deal. The official IRNA news agency reported that Iran's nuclear program will no longer embrace any practical restrictions, including the level and purity of enrichment, the mass of enriched materials, and R&D activities. The Iranian government said that Tehran is ready to re-embrace its nuclear commitments in case anti-Iran sanctions are removed and its economic interests under the nuclear deal are secured. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened Saturday to hit at least 52 Iranian targets for any attacks on Americans or the U.S. He chided Tehran for targeting certain U.S. assets as revenge for the killing of top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani was killed Friday in a strike outside of Baghdad's airport. Abu Mahdi al-Mohandis, a senior commander of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Units, was also killed. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, who gave Soleimani the country's highest honor last year, vowed severe retaliation in response to his killing. Back at home, the Armed Forces of the Philippines has vowed to ensure the safety of Americans in the country. AFP Chief of Staff Filimon Santos said the military has added to its concerns the protection of U.S. citizens here. This as Iran issued threats against the United States over the killing of top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in an airstrike last Friday. The AFP and PNP are also monitoring local terrorist groups that may sympathize with Iran over Soleimani's death. Santos said they have strengthened intelligence monitoring on possible targets of sympathizers who may take advantage of the tension in the Middle East. Earlier, Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned the U.S. airstrike that led to Soleimani's killing. On the other hand, China issued a statement calling on the U.S. to stop its abuse of power. Still to come, a bishop hails the declaration of martial law for serving its purpose to preserve peace and order in Mindanao. Suspected members of the New People's Army kill a tribal leader opposing recruitment activities in Bukidnon. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Yun, yung boyfriend ko yung nagdala sa akin sa drugs. Nababago na ugali ko, yung behavior ko, sa pamilya ko, sa mga anak ko, sa paggamit ng pera, yun, nawala lahat. Kasi marami ring babaeng nagdodroga. Kung nakakaramdam ng lungkot, ng galit, isa lang, puntahan mo pamilya mo, lapitan mo Panginoon. Ako, gustong-gusto ko si Duterte. Kasi isa ako sa mga natulungan niya. Isa ako sa napabuti niya. Hindi man kami magkakilala personally, pero yung programang yan, tinulungan niya ako para magbago lalo. Kasi kung wala akong takot, baka gumagawa pa ako ngayon.
Following the lifting of martial law in Mindanao, a bishop hailed its earlier declaration after serving its purpose of ensuring peace and order. Marawi Bishop Edwin de la Peña said the declaration of martial law was providential because it brought peace and helped in curbing lawless elements. Following the end of martial law in the region on December 31st, 2019, De La Peña said the people are now going about their lives normally. He noted it was difficult to attract foreign investments in Mindanao due to being in a state of emergency. He, however, admitted that there are still no changes in the situation in Marawi City, the ground zero of the battle between government forces and Muslim extremists. On May 23, 2017, President Rodrigo Duterte declared martial law in Mindanao in response to the attack of ISIS-inspired mounted group in Marawi City. It was extended 3 times, running a total of 953 days. Preparations for this year's Traslacion, the traditional procession of the Black Nazarene, are now in full swing. The city government of Manila has suspended its work and classes in both private and public schools on Thursday, January 9, to make way for the celebration of the Traslacion. Government work, except those involved in preparations such as traffic enforcement and peace and order, are also suspended. For its part, the PNP said it is adjusting its security measures for the Feast of the Black Nazarene. PNP OIC Archie Francisco Gamboa said they are particularly profiling threats and sympathizers with the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani last week. Gamboa, however, said they will leave it up to the NCRPO whether to issue a gun ban. Novena Masses started after the Thanksgiving procession of the Black Nazarene on December 30. A replica procession and blessing will be held on January 7, Tuesday. The Pahalik will take place at the Quirino Grandstand on January 8, Wednesday, followed by the Vigil Mass on the midnight of January 9 and the Traslacion proper later in the morning. And in our business news, oil prices jumped for the week ending January 3, following U.S. killing of Iranian commander on Friday. General Qasem Soleimani and Abdu Mali al-Mohandis, Deputy Chief of Iraq's paramilitary Hashid Sha'abi forces, were killed in a strike near the Baghdad airport on Friday. Shortly after the strike, oil prices jumped more than 3%. On Friday evening, the West Texas Intermediate for February delivery hit over $63 a barrel, while Brent crude for March delivery climbed to $68.60 a barrel. For the coming week, some analysts believe that oil is set to move higher as investors are waiting for Iran's further responses to the U.S. targeted killing, but the downside pressure remains. Suspected members of the New People's Army have shot dead a tribal leader in Bukidnon and kidnapped a Manobo tribe member in Surigao del Sur. More on this from Lade Cabagani.
Some 4 suspected members of the New People's Army shot dead a tribal leader in Barangay Kanangaan, Cabansalan, Bukidnon on Saturday. The victim was identified as Dato Sami Diwangan, an Indigenous Peoples Mandatory Representative or IPMR in the village council. Lieutenant Colonel Ronald Iliano, commanding officer of the 8th Infantry Battalion, condemned the attack against the tribal leader. Diwangan was a community leader known to be against NPA infiltration and recruitment in the area. There were plans to neutralize Diwangan since they cannot pursue their mission to expand in Barangay Kanangaan. In Surigao del Sur, the IPMR of the municipality of San Miguel appealed for help from the government to locate a Manobo tribe member abducted by the NPA in the area. Dato Rico Macased, Taloy Aguilo Astudillo, and another Manobo identified only by his family name Bibat were seized by the NPA from their village in Sitio Inadan, Magroyong, San Miguel, Surigao del Sur on December 3, 2019. Macased, the NPA only released Bibat on the same day, but the tribe has no knowledge of the whereabouts of Astudillo until now. He said they were abducted by the NPA for suspicion of being assets of the Philippine Army. Captain Jonald Romorosa of the 36th Infantry Battalion said the Army has also been coordinating with the local officials, community leaders, and the Philippine National Police to determine the condition of Astudillo and find his location. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Lade Cabagani.
Up next, the United Nations calls for maximum restraint amid rising tensions in the Middle East. And Kawa Hill in Albay hosts a celebration of the Feast of the Three Kings. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. And in our foreign news, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for all parties to exercise maximum restraint in the Persian Gulf after the U.S. assassinated a top Iranian general in Iraq. Spokesman Farhan Haq said this is a moment in which leaders must exercise maximum restraint. Qasem Soleimani, the head of the elite Quds force, was killed Friday in a U.S. airstrike outside of Baghdad's airport. Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, a senior commander of Iraq's popular mobilization units, was also killed. Following the death of an American contractor in rocket attacks in Iraq, Washington carried out a series of strikes on Sunday that led to the deaths of at least 25 fighters from the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah militia group. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was then attacked by a large crowd of angry protesters last Tuesday. The Pentagon accused Soleimani of plotting the embassy attack and planning to carry out additional attacks on U.S. diplomats and service members in Iraq and the region. The international seaport of Curimaao is welcoming another cruise ship this Monday, January 6. The Provincial Tourism Office said the MV The World with 160 passengers is expected to dock at the Curimaao Seaport and then to Cebu and back to its port of origin in Hong Kong. Part of the itinerary is to visit various cultural heritage sites such as the UNESCO World Heritage Site of St. Augustine Church in Paway, Ilocos Norte, and the Wonder City of Vigan in Ilocos Sur. On the same day, the MV Royal Caribbean is returning to the Ilocos part of Cabugao, Ilocos Sur, with thousands of passengers, mostly from China and the United States of America. Since 2018, Ilocos region has become a cruise line destination with the maiden calls of Superstar Virgo, MV Diamond Glory, and Costa Atlantica Cruise, among others. In sports, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas is likely to bring in the new Gilas cadets to beef up the Gilas men's lineup for the first window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. SBP President Al Panlilio sees this as an opportunity to begin their build-up for the 2023 FIBA World Cup, which the Philippines will co-host with Indonesia and Japan. Last month, the SBP named Isaac Go, Ray Suerte, Alin Bulanadi, and Matt and Mike Nieto to the Gilas cadets, while just as the new year began, 30 Ravenna and JD Tungab were added to the pool. Should the plan push through, the said players will be joined by veterans from the Philippine Basketball Association. Panlilio also sees the hybrid setup as an opportunity for the league to recalibrate its season schedule after the past two seasons saw the league making way for either the FIBA World Cup or the Southeast Asian Games. All roads led to Ligao City as parishioners from across the province of Albay celebrated Epiphany, or the Feast of the Three Kings, at the Bambusetum grounds, Kawa Hill. Thousands of people trooped Sunday night at the Divine Mercy Shrine located at the foot of Kawa Hill. Bishop Joel Bailon of the Diocese of Albay led the Holy Mass celebrating the closing of the Christmas season. The religious event is highlighted with a reenactment of the Nativity with the Three Kings and a 20-minute fireworks display. The Three Kings reenactment was a brainchild of former 3rd District Representative Fernando Gonzalez, who for half a decade has played the role of a magi with other local officials of the city. The hill is also a famous religious destination, especially during Holy Week because of the larger-than-life statues depicting the Stations of the Cross. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte orders the military to prepare for the evacuation of OFWs in the Middle East. A bishop hails the declaration of martial law for serving its purpose to preserve peace and order in Mindanao. Suspected members of the New People's Army kill a tribal leader opposing recruitment activities in Bukidnon. And Kawakawa Hill in Albay hosts a celebration of the Feast of the Three Kings. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am William Theo. Good day.